Ooh. Hello! Welcome back boys and girls. Välkomna tillbaka pojkar och flickor. That's a Swedish phrase for today. Before we jump into War in the East, I would like to make some book information for you from my second-hand bookstore here where I live in Sweden. They're both in Swedish, but I'll translate the titles. This is the Battle of Warsaw, the Uprising 1944 by Norman Davies. I think this is a rather famous and high quality book. And look at the size of this beast. And the funny thing is, this must have been made for a library in Sweden, because you see they remade it, the hardback book, into this library kind of cover on it from back in 2004. And it's definitely mint. It's never been read. It is in excellent condition. And it even has the unborrowed. A long time ago, we used to stamp library books here, but it's never been lent out, and you have the library card. I used to borrow a lot of books in libraries when I was younger, so this is a kind of a nostalgia, and I like that it was in such mint condition. And it's a beast of a book. How many pages? Oh, it's 700 pages or something like that. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It's only like €4, 40 Swedish kronor. So that's today's library book. And I also found a nice high quality reference work from a Swedish military history library, SMB, and it's about Swedish armor development 90 years. And with the war in Ukraine and the second-hand donations of Swedish military equipment and vehicles, I kind of got a little bit of interest for Swedish military vehicles. So I'm looking forward to read about the Stridsvagn tank M40, the Archer artillery piece, etc. It's not in color, but it is an excellent high quality workmanship book. This was like €5, so it's a steal, really. Anyway, thought I'd start with some book purchases here. And now we're gonna dive in kind of at the end of turn 20, and War in the East certainly turned very interesting with the onset of winter, I have to say. The weather turned into light snow on most of the front. I'm gonna need my epic pen here. Yeah, light snow, but it's kind of a mix up in the north. I suppose it's mostly light snow. The weather this week is cold, but it is confusing for me. There is no green color here, and if you look at these areas here, they are green. What does that mean? Is it a mix of cold and rain? I don't know, but I would suspect it's mostly cold on the map, and this doesn't really influence a lot. And next week we'll have the weather's gonna be green, and yep, I don't know what green is, but it's weather. Yeah, I you know what's gonna happen in November is we're gonna have more and more snow, and unfortunately the low pressure fronts, they're all over Western Europe and Northern Scandinavia. They're not in Russia, but maybe they'll come here this week. The weather front, we have a low pressure over central Russia and northern Scandinavia. We have a high pressure around Kerch. So basically we have a very mild fall, not a lot of mud, and quite nice weather in the south. That's the weather. Okay, I know you're looking forward. I have exciting things to tell you this week. Let me tell you, we have exciting weeks. Operation Saturnus has started. It has been kind of in the planning, but it developed more organically than I thought. Maybe I should start with the most pressured front, which is the northwestern Valdai Wilderness, Rhzev city sector here. Here's Rhzev, a level 3 fort and an important railway hub. We have established a rather strong front line in the western parts of this entire line here from the Veliki Luki direction here. So that's good. And I've given up ground this week, and I gave up an important fortress hex here, so I'm slowly gaining ground. I have a lot of cavalry here, so and weak infantry divisions, so I have to double stack to get decent numbers, but terrain will help me. I have some extra spare infantry and a fort on the supply depot here. But at the Rhzev sector here, we will see that the Germans punished us severely. Lots and lots of combat action here at Rhzev, and that means this sector is very much weakened this week. I have 2 decent divisions in the center here. I have decent defenses here, but then we have a very weak infantry division. The Vyazma front is still holding fairly strong, but I had to pull out at least 2 divisions from their Vyazma defenses. We do have level 3 forts in most of these hexes here, so I'm, and I don't think the Germans are very strong here, but I'm weakening the Vyazma sector and I'm sending them north. And the forces I don't want to deploy in the line is the 144th and 18th Rifle Divisions. You can see they have very nice combat attack values of 12, both of them. They're full size, they're high morale, and they both have a tank brigade attached, and they have high combat preparation. So these 2 divisions, they are my counter attack force in the area, but I don't want to attack this German infantry regiment in heavy forest with a 6 defense. Well, you know what? Maybe I should attack it. If I get a reserve activation in a heavy forest hex, that would be bad, and I would spend my... yeah, maybe I need to check that out. The thing is, this guy moved up. He's only got 12 movement factors. If he moves in here, he has 6, and he can do a deliberate attack. And this guy has 13 movement factors. We could move in here and perform a deliberate attack. That will give us 12 plus 12, 24 to his 6. That's a 4-to-1 attack in rather difficult terrain. But we do have we have very good leadership. We have only 3 artillery units. And I really don't have a lot more from Stavka to reinforce. Maybe I could transfer an artillery regiment. You know what? I need to consider making a counterattack. I did move up this 89th Rifle Division from here. So he's going to be tired. He's only on 5 defense. And it's a light forest hex. And we don't have a... fortress level before, so I suspect, look at all these, is this 3? Yeah, 3 full infantry divisions are sitting here. One of them is a light, but it's a 22 attack value. Now there's a 4th and a 5th and a 6th infantry division. They have 6 full-size divisions here, so that is extremely scary. Don't tell me there's a 7th underneath. No, that's a... what the hell? It says there's a Panzer division. Actually, there is another. There is a 7th full-size infantry division. Oh my god! The push towards Rhzev is immense. And what have I done to prevent this? I took 5 large 11,000 strong, highly trained Soviet rifle divisions from the reserve pool, and I deployed them around Kalinin here. And so that's 55,000 reserves that I'm gonna use to plug this new line here, the Rhzev line. But they will arrive next week, not this week. and then they will be exhausted when they reach the front line. They will have to rest and dig in. So I am in trouble here. The Germans are pushing me. I'll show you my secondary line. I retreated with a unready division that is gonna refit. I moved down a reinforcement 7,000 strong, so I have at least one garrison in Rhzev itself. So it's a bit of a defense in Rhzev. I don't think it's gonna fall this turn. But other than that, I have weak cavalry divisions spotting the landscape. That's basically my secondary line, and there are holes in my primary line. So no, not very happy about the situation here. And to be honest, with everything else going on, I was a bit surprised at the strength of the German attack here. Well, I was very surprised, I suppose. We have tanks and motorized as well. What a joy. Well, there's not much I can do. I can consider closing this gap in the front line here with a counterattack, but then I wouldn't really have anything. I guess I could move in with this, but he's gonna be so exhausted. Look, when I moved him, he went up to 40 or so fatigue just to move up here where he already is. And if I push him into this hex, he's gonna sit there with 50-60 fatigue, staring down 7 half-fresh German infantry divisions. This is a conundrum. This is a dilemma. I don't know how to handle it. Yep, there we go. Northwestern front, and I do have a problem here. Northwestern front is at maximum command limit, 72 out of 72. It is only 279,000 strong, and as you know, part of it is actually defending the Leningrad sector north of Lake Ilmen, and it's stretching over this immense distance, Northwestern front. Let me see. So I guess all the way up here. This is the Northwestern front, right? So no wonder I'm stretched. I don't think there's a lot to say about Leningrad. We only had a couple of attacks here. He pushed me back from a gap here in the line, but I did have 3 fresh divisions from my reserve Stavka army to move in here and take its place. It's only a 17 defense value, but I guess there's snow and time is working in my favor, and yada yada. And I've been able to pull out a good division, and I need to pull out this division here because it's extremely tired, unready, low strength, and I'm just lucky the Germans haven't pushed across this river here. But this infantry division is going to move up in next turn. I'm going to rest him a bit before he takes his place in the line. So I guess Leningrad is in okay shape for now. We have plenty of supplies, nice fortresses. You know, we lose a hex here and there, but nothing really serious, and we kind of have a secondary line. All right. Then we have the very exciting Moscow sector here. What happened last turn was that the Germans pushed into our Oka River defense fortress line. They breached it with heavy armor forces, and they moved in and regimented a panzer division and a motorized division here. But they left a hex open here where there was 2 combats, and they had a motorized division sitting in the front line itself, and they kept a lot of forces on the other side of the river. So not the greatest. I thought it was it's gonna be a disaster for the Germans, and it kind of is, but it's not as, you know, all I could do was muster an attack and recapture the broken defense hex, and we managed to push back the 10th motorized division. It retreated, but I had to send in 50,000 attackers, and to scrounge together such a large attack, you know, that took a lot of effort, and moving around in snow caused a lot of fatigue. So after that, all I could do was send in a fresh mechanized division, and instead of counterattacking with it, it is now sitting without the fort across the river in a light forest X. And I know this mechanized division is gonna get trashed. It's gonna lose its 70 tanks. Oh, why is it refitting? But I really didn't feel like I had a choice. And even though at a glance it looks like I have a huge amount of troops, I don't want to put tank divisions in there. There's not going to be enough movement factors to get in here. And a lot of infantry divisions are in really bad shape. This was another, the Red Army here, the 14th Army, was another strong army. The commander is good, Merezkov. He's a 5.1 average. But the 14th Army is only 81,000 strong. And right now, well, the fatigue levels aren't horrible, but there are a few unready divisions in this sector here now. But from the north, the newly created Neva OPGR tank army under the command of Moskalenko performed one counterattack against the tank panzer regiment, and we get a nice rout. They lost 7 tanks. Yes, I'm not going to pocket all these 29 tanks and eliminate them, potentially, but I kind of felt like I needed to lessen this pocket in here down to 4 hexes. It was a bit too annoying having this German occupied. I had to retreat with 2 small divisions, infantry divisions. A communist Moscow militia division and another crappy division are holding the line and refitting panzers here. So we have something of a semblance of a defense line on the river. And then we have we have a lot of armor in this sector here. So I'm not afraid of losing Moscow at the moment. I am afraid of ending up in an attritional combat for the river crossing here. That's going to cost me a lot of forces. So what am I planning to do about this? From off map, I have 3 rifle brigades that are going to take their place in the front line here. So that at least have some sort of river defense line here. I don't want to lose this railroad connection down to the supply depot here. And I do have, I got 5 large 11,000 strong fresh Far Eastern type divisions. No, well, there are 41B. But anyways, they came on the map around, I don't know, Kazan maybe. And 3 of them are railing in towards Moscow. A 4th arrived at the frontier at Ryazan, and a 5th is to the south here. So we got 5 divisions coming to, I don't know, I'm gonna rail them in and fight at the Battle of the Bulge here, the Battle of the Cauldron of Moscow, Battle of Moscow, Operation Typhoon, whatever. So I guess right now the battle is going my way. I have created a pocket. It's a potential pocket where I eliminate almost 2 mechanized divisions from the Germans. That would be excellent, of course, but we're not there yet. It's going to be very exciting to see what's going to happen this following turn here now. But I'm feeling okay with the situation. There has been a breakthrough at Ryazan. I had to fall back and rest and refit. All these 4 divisions here that was in the line before are now crushed and have to rest and refit. If the Germans move up and attack them, they will probably rout. But since I have nothing else, I trust these defenses, the winter, the river, the forests, and I am going to leave them there and slow them down, but there has been created a gap. You know what? I realize, and I don't really care about anything except this rail line in here. So I guess, yeah, I will be unhappy if he captures this hex here and breaks the rail line. Fuck, maybe I should have, okay. I should probably have put this division here. Okay, I might have to move this again. You know, I wanted zone of control between these units here, but I should probably have protected the railway line instead with this division. Isn't it fun when the fate of Moscow's supply system hinges on a 7,000 strong, 60 fatigue, retreated, stupid... Well, he has 50 morale, so I want to refit him. Anyway, it's a disaster, this sector of the front. But other than that, you can see here that we have cavalry in the line because I'm stretched. I arrived here with the new 48th Army. Well, it's not new, it was repositioned from the south so that I can use the green bad 50th Army as a backline Stavka attached rest and refit division. Anyways, let's go further south. Now we have the exciting news of Operation Saturn, or Saturnus. Is that what we want to call it? Well, it's an offensive, winter offensive. Yay, what happened here? From north to south, we have a bunch of German attacks. And, no, sorry, Soviet attacks. And I was surprised how well it went. We had one huge infantry assault up here. And we kind of started with sending out our infantry that has been sitting behind this river here and resting and refitting. And because the Germans hasn't pushed up, I have been able to kind of sit in peace and lower fatigue and rest and refit and have decent strength and built up combat preparation. So my infantry was in decent shape to actually hit his vulnerable German infantry regiments that hadn't really fortified. And with the winter and then with the fatigue, you know, they retreated, and we even made long term. We even made a few regiments rout. Well, one of these are the Panzer regiments from up here, but anyways. And after we softened them up with infantry attacks, we followed up with, I think, some cavalry attacks here. And then we sent in, I think this is an infantry attack. It's not really that important. But then we sent in tanks and kind of cleaned up here. So how it ended up is, it's looking good. It's looking good. We pushed everything aside. We encircled a single German infantry regiment. Yeah, sure, there's a cavalry division in the line. We have this elite motorized. We have three tank divisions. Yeah, I want to show you one thing. Isn't this weird? These are all... Here I can build a depot, but in the next hex I can't. Why is that? Here I can establish a new depot. Here I can't. Here I can build one. I think this is because if it's a named city, it's called build depot. But anyways, why can't I establish a new depot here in this hex? It is newly captured, but so is this hex. They're both newly captured. I am 99. Yeah, of course. There's been enemy combats here. So I'm confused about that. But I'll probably build a depot. Let me see. The nearest one is in Tolstoy, so it is kind of close to have it only 3 hexes away, but I think I'll build it there anyways. There we go. And now I will rail in my second NKPS rail repair unit and start repairing the railroads into this depot here. What else? Well, isn't that good news? And I mean, I am surprised how well this counterattack went. I even railed in one of the 5 new Eastern divisions down to here to support. And of course, my long-term plan is to push towards Tula. But even more important probably is to try to reach the Moscow line here, threaten an encirclement of this entire Rhzev area, and alleviate the pressure on the Oka River defense line up here. That way, this way. I do maintain I didn't commit everything. I have at least more than half. Probably the majority of my mechanized divisions are still in good shape, and they're waiting to exploit the next week. So with this initial success, we are seeing Stalingrad 1942 kind of potential here. And I am not sure how many divisions I will need. I don't want to disperse my offensive powers by going west and southwest. But depending on the progress I make towards north, I might try a semi-encirclement, of course, and try to pin these troops out down here. We'll see about that. But my intention is to not overcommit in too many directions, but actually be super focused and achieve one main goal and not over extend myself. Yeah, and I moved up my 2 elite division from Tambov into Lipetsk now. So that means we have a rather strong infantry force here on the, so to speak, angle. In case there is counterattack, the Germans are not going to have an easy time breaking through. My shoulder of the offensive is very well grounded here with elite divisions. It's even a potential counterattack force, to be honest. So we have strength in this sector as well. So very good news for me, not for the Germans. At Voronezh, yeah, we just pushed him back here over the river. Nothing exciting. The Voronezh line is holding fine. This entire sector here, I performed a couple of local counterattacks, just pushed back the Germans and inflicted some losses. Nothing interesting. I kind of forgot what the hell I'm doing here. I'm mostly resting and refitting my 51st Tank Army, which is in... I mean, I make the... It is under the Bryansk assault headquarters. Yes, that's true. But I'm not super excited about having only infantry, cavalry in the line here. What was I thinking? I need to do something about this? Yep, and I didn't. Did I send in some rifle brigades? I don't think so. What the hell am I gonna do here? I'm just too weak. Yep, that's the Kharkov sector for you. Excuse me. So we had some disastrous German attacks, a few attacks, but very heavy losses. So, of course, I'm not super strong in this sector, but it is kind of okay-ish medium. In the Stalino sector, we have better news here. The Germans inflicted very heavy losses on me with very heavy and successful counterattacks north and south of Stalino. So that makes it hard for me to establish a defensive line. I had to give up 2 hexes here. There's no way I can defend them. But I moved up my mountain corps and my guard division. So I have a strong counterattack force. I mounted 2 counterattacks here and then kind of established a new strong infantry line like so. Okay, that's a bit... Let's do this. This is how my strong line goes. But there is a risk that the Germans encircle something. If they take out this hex, which is very possible, they encircle the entire Stalino city complex here. yeah, I wasn't strong enough to push into this hex and recapture it. And then the southern sector is strong, and I just moved in with 3 tank divisions or mechanized formations and retreated a German regiment. And then I constructed a city fort in Mariupol, and I made a mistake, and I did not put down a fortress zone first. The living manual says that you cannot have a city fortress and a fortress zone in the same hex, but you can. Evidently you can, because I got it here in Genichek. I placed first the fortified region. You see it's a third, so it was very early placed in the game, and then later on I played the fortress. But now when I place the fortress first, if I right click on the hex and press build fortified, it asks me to spend 2 admin points. And did I spend the points? I think I did. What the hell? So I spend the points? No. Anyway, you can't. That is the thing. You cannot. Oh, I can't remember. I think I spent admin points. Anyways, I have a city fortress in Mariupol now. It has 48 defense, and I certainly hope it holds. It only has. I don't know if I can build a higher fort with a city fortress. That is my question. I think level 3 is the max. You cannot build up a port to level 4 unless you have a fortress zone. I moved in another infantry division here, the 171st, and I do have 2 mountain cavalry that I can ship into Mariupol and reinforce it further. So that's interesting. We made a Hungarian motorized brigade retreat here with a very heavy 61,000 guard. Right, you know, the 4th army is my elite army in this sector, and I pushed back a fairly strong stack here. And I did deploy 2 new guard divisions that's been refitting behind Voroshilovgrad. I shouldn't have to say these names. And I do believe I have some new infantry divisions reinforcing in Rostov here that can move up here, because I am weak. I'm not strong enough to recapture the territory here and secure the Stalino line entirely yet. It's not a disaster like Northwestern Front, but I feel the pressure here. But I have been, and I railed in 2 new divisions up here somewhere, so, you know. So the new winter offensive in November started very excitedly, and you can see here on the losses that we actually inflicted twice as many infantry losses, 7,000, to our own 3,500. So we're doing well in our turn. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about. I killed a lot of German artillery, 400 pieces. They only lost 14 tanks to our 100 tanks, but we're doing good with the losses now with our counterattacks here. I just want to show you that. So it's kind of exciting. I guess the German winter offensive hasn't stopped yet, but it is encountering certain, not only Soviet counterattacks, but a full-fledged counter winter offensive has started to take shape in the Lipetsk direction here. Very, very exciting, wouldn't you say? So but I struggle to make ends meet because I'm kind of all over the place, and you know, I guess I overcommitted in certain sectors of the front and undercommitted, but it's kind of hard to know where the Germans are going to launch their heavy sledgehammer strikes the next week, and realize like, oh, that's where they attacked me heavily, and oh, I didn't have all my reserves ready right in this sector. I don't have a lot of strategic reserve sitting on rail, ready to rail in, because I've been so stretched. I mean, I guess I do now, kind of, back here. I do have 3 full-size infantry divisions that are gonna be able to rail in the next week, somewhere very urgently needed. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with the result of this week's combat. I'm kind of glad the Germans made a successful offensive and created dangerous situations, because the campaign was getting a bit stale with the AI's subpar performance. But I'm also happy that all the preparation and build up paid off in such a successful offensive direction for once. And it's quite early. November, turn 2041, it's very early. Oh, forgot to tell you. The Soviet Air Force is back on the map. I sent out my 1,500 or so best pilots and air wings. I experimented by save scumming in the airface and using the activate AI air assist button, but the AI deployed horribly, and I didn't, it would have saved on micromanagement, but it was my OCD couldn't live with it, so I just reloaded start of the airface and manually deployed the air forces myself. I wouldn't call that much of cheating, would you? I mean, I never used it before. I don't know how well it's gonna do, so I guess it's not very interesting. 1,500 planes or so. And my reserve zones, theater boxes are almost at all of them at 100%. So there's that. Is there anything exciting? No, not really. I guess this is it. All right. Stay with me for the exciting German attacks. The Germans going to be able to save their 2 divisions in the Moscow pocket? Are they gonna breach the Rhzev gap? Are they going to encircle Stalino? And what is going to happen with the weak cavalry line east of Kharkov here that I'm so worried about? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.